Have you ever stopped to think that what you believe protects you might actually be harming you? It sounds exaggerated, but it isn't. Every year more than 600 million people around the world become ill from eating contaminated food. And even more striking, about 420,000 people die from it. Older adults are among the most vulnerable. As time passes, the immune system weakens, leaving the body less able to fight off infections. According to international health organizations like the CDC, the risks increase significantly in this stage of life. What many don't know is that many of these problems begin inside their own refrigerator. Yes, that appliance you rely on to keep everything fresh could quietly be putting your health at risk. Recent research has shown that incorrectly storing certain foods in the refrigerator not only destroys important nutrients, but also causes harmful chemical reactions and increases the risk of food poisoning. What's alarming is that most people don't even realize it. And look, the number one food on this list will surprise you. Not only does it lose almost all its benefits when refrigerated, it also begins to develop dangerous substances. Stay until the end because what you discover here could save lives. Before continuing, leave a comment letting us know where you're watching from and if you like this kind of content. Hit like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss coming videos. Let's begin. Number 9. Tomatoes. Do you typically store tomatoes in the refrigerator? If so, it might be time to reconsider that habit. Cold not only dulls the flavor, it also directly affects the structure of the food. A study published by the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that low temperature permanently deactivates genes that are essential for a tomato's natural aroma, color, and taste. In addition, cold destroys a significant part of lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that helps protect the heart, prevent premature aging, and even reduce the risk of some types of cancer. In other words, refrigerating tomatoes not only takes away their flavor, it also wastes many health benefits they might offer. The advice is simple. Store your tomatoes at room temperature, in a well-ventilated place, and away from direct light. This way you preserve both flavor and nutrients and make the most of what they contribute to your health. Number 8. Onion. Now let's talk about onions. Present in practically every recipe. If you usually keep them in the refrigerator, you've probably seen strange changes. They soften, start sprouting, or even develop a slimy texture. That's because the fridge is a humid environment, which encourages exactly what you don't want: germination, mold growth, and accelerated decay. Onions also easily absorb odors and contaminants, which can affect not only the onion itself but also other foods with which they come into contact. More importantly, low temperatures break down the onion's cellular structure and compromise the presence of allicin, a substance with antibacterial and anti-cancer properties. In short, refrigerating onions not only speeds up their deterioration, but also drastically reduces their health benefits. According to the American Institute for Cancer Research, Alison Netmuch talked about powerful compound needs a stable environment to maintain its effectiveness. And know what? The refrigerator is anything but stable. Humidity destroys this valuable substance even before it has the opportunity to act in the body. So, where should you store onions? The best way is simple. Place them in a cloth or mesh bag in a dry, ventilated place away from light, and avoid storing them near potatoes as much as possible. Both may seem harmless, but together they deteriorate each other. Speaking of that, if all this seems worrying to you, wait until you see the next item on the list, because indeed it can develop potentially carcinogenic substances if stored incorrectly. Number 7. Bread. Know that custom of storing bread in the refrigerator thinking it will last longer? Well, bad news. Refrigerator cold triggers a process called starch retrogradation, which makes the bread hard on the inside, loses its flavor, and even seems stale although it's still within its expiration date. But that's not the biggest problem. Moving the bread from the refrigerator to room temperature and back creates condensation. That internal moisture is a perfect environment for mold growth, and that's where the real danger lies. Mold can produce mycotoxins, toxic substances that affect the nervous system, the liver, and the immune system. The National Cancer Institute has warned about the risks, especially for older people, and what to do. Simple. If you're not going to eat it immediately, freeze the bread in portions but never refrigerate it. Number 6. Potatoes. Ah, potatoes. So versatile, so appreciated, and so sensitive to cold. When stored in the refrigerator, they begin to convert their natural starch into sugars. It might seem harmless, but this chemical change has serious consequences. When frying or baking these refrigerated potatoes, the newly formed sugars react with an amino acid called asparagine. This reaction produces acrylamide, a substance considered potentially carcinogenic by the European Food Safety Authority. In other words, those golden crispy potatoes could be hiding a hidden danger. The best way to store them is in a dark, cool, dry, and well-ventilated place. Refrigerator, not at all. And if you thought that was serious, the next item is a toxin capable of causing paralysis. Yes, we're talking about something truly serious. Number 5. Garlic. Garlic is practically a natural remedy. It's antibiotic, antifungal, antiviral. It strengthens the heart and the immune system. But all this can be lost if you store it in the refrigerator. The fridge's humid environment favors the growth of Clostridium botulinum, bacterium that produces the feared botulinum toxin that causes botulism. This is a rare but extremely serious disease that attacks the nervous system and can cause everything from muscle weakness to respiratory paralysis. Who is at risk? Once again, older people. Also, cold makes garlic become sticky, sprout rapidly, and lose its allicin, the compound responsible for much of its therapeutic effects. The ideal is to keep it in an open glass jar or in a cloth bag in a dry, ventilated place. Simple, right? Number 4. Honey. If the honey is truly pure, it never needs refrigeration. Refrigerating it causes its sugars to crystallize rapidly. The result is a thicker, whitish honey that loses aroma, texture, and flavor. But the bigger problem is this. In an attempt to decrystallize it, many people heat it directly in the microwave or a pan. Therein lies the danger. Heat destroys essential enzymes like invertase, glucose, oxidase, and other substances responsible for honey's antibacterial benefits. In other words, trying to fix the error removes exactly what makes honey a medicinal food. The advice is clear. Keep honey out of the refrigerator, well sealed and stored in a dark, dry place. According to the Journal of Food Science, heating crystallized honey above 40 degrees Celsius is enough to eliminate almost all its bioactive compounds. Now imagine the impact of consuming honey that is not only refrigerated and heated but also adulterated, that is, mixed with sugar syrups. Ultimately, what you're ingesting might be simply a sweet syrup with no health benefit. The correct way to store honey is quite simple. Keep it at room temperature, well sealed, and away from light and moisture. This way it retains its texture, flavor, and above all, its therapeutic properties. Number 3. Coffee. Whether whole bean or ground coffee should never be refrigerated. The reason is clear. It's extremely porous. That means it easily absorbs everything around it, odors, moisture, and even microorganisms present in the environment. The result is a coffee that smells like onion, tastes like nothing, and might even be contaminated. Also, the essential oils in the beans responsible for that unmistakable aroma oxidize much more quickly when coffee is exposed to temperature fluctuations. And oxidized coffee loses up to 70% of its antioxidants, according to data from Pestel-Tikafin. But it's not only a matter of taste. Poorly stored coffee can become more acidic, increase stomach irritation, and worsen intestinal issues, especially in older people. The golden advice: store your coffee in an opaque, well-sealed container, in a dry, cool place, away from light. That way you preserve its flavor and protect your health. Number 2. Tropical fruits, banana, mango, pineapple. These fruits were born for heat. Refrigerating them before they are fully ripe is a mistake that can compromise not only their flavor but also their nutritional quality. When refrigerated while still green, the natural ripening process is abruptly interrupted. This causes a series of internal changes. The fruit's cell walls begin to break down, dark spots appear, texture deteriorates, and vitamin C, essential for the immune system, is practically destroyed. And there's more. According to Harvard Medical School, this deterioration process can stimulate internal fermentation, producing alcohol and gases. The result: digestive problems, bloating, even intestinal discomfort. The instructions are simple. Let these fruits ripen naturally outside the refrigerator. Only then, when they are sufficiently ripe, may you store them in the refrigerator for a while, and even then, only if necessary. Number 1. Cooked rice. Present on tables all over the world. Rice is one of the most consumed foods on the planet. It's practical, inexpensive, and versatile. And that is why many people cook large amounts, so they have leftovers for the next few days. Here comes the common mistake: letting the rice cool naturally for a while, and then putting it in the refrigerator. It seems harmless, but it isn't. The big problem is a bacterium called Bacillus cereus that survives cooking because it forms heat-resistant spores. And when cooked rice stays at room temperature for more than an hour, these spores germinate, grow, and multiply quickly. The result, rice that looks normal but may be contaminated with toxins that cause serious food poisoning with symptoms like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea and, in more severe cases, dehydration and even worse complications, especially in older persons. The simple solution: as soon as the rice has cooled a little, within 1 hour of cooking, refrigerate it in an airtight container. And when reheating, heat it thoroughly and evenly until it's piping hot all the way through. And what happens if you eat contaminated rice? The symptoms may appear within hours. Usually between 1 and 5 hours after ingestion: intense nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pain. And in those with weakened immune systems like the elderly, the effects can be even more serious. And worst of all, this can happen even if you put the rice in the refrigerator. Do you know why? Because many make a silent, dangerous mistake: putting hot rice directly into the fridge. This causes condensation inside the container, extra moisture. And that moisture creates the perfect environment for bacterial growth. Another common mistake is reheating it incorrectly. If the rice doesn't reach an internal temperature of at least 74 degrees Celsius, the toxins formed by the bacteria aren't destroyed and you end up eating food that seems normal but can cause serious harm. So, how should you safely store cooked rice? Here's a practical guide every kitchen should follow. Cool the rice quickly. Don't leave it at room temperature more than 1 hour. A tip: spread the rice on a clean tray so it cools evenly and faster. Store it in an airtight container. Refrigerate as soon as it reaches room temperature. Consume within 24 to 48 hours. Many people store it for 3 or even 4 days, but the risk of poisoning increases significantly each additional day. Reheat thoroughly. The rice should be well hot inside, not just warm. If you notice a strange smell, sticky texture, or excessive moisture, throw it away. Don't risk it. Besides the risk of contamination, cooked rice stored too long also loses flavor, texture, and nutrients, especially brown rice, which has more natural oils, and is more prone to becoming rancid and developing unpleasant flavors. Did you know rice is one of the top 5 foods most associated with food poisoning because of improper storage? The other 4 are pasta, hard-boiled eggs, processed meats, and seafood. In other words, it's not just what you eat but how it's stored that makes all the difference. Now tell me, how long do you usually leave rice in the refrigerator? Has anything like this ever happened to you? And if you think these 9 foods covered everything, you're not done yet. What comes next might be even more important. Because it's not just about foods but dangerous habits many people have in the kitchen without even knowing they exist. These mistakes are so common they rarely appear in videos, precisely because nobody considers them dangerous. But the truth is, they can cause serious poisonings, silent contamination, and the loss of nutrients the body needs urgently, especially if you care for older adults or someone with a weakened immune system. So if you've made it this far, don't leave yet. Staying 2 more minutes could be enough to protect your health and that of your loved ones. Additional mistake: cracked or poorly stored eggs. This mistake is more common than people think, especially among older adults. Many store eggs directly in the refrigerator door, which seems practical but is a serious error. The fridge door experiences the greatest temperature variation each time it is opened, and food inside suffers small thermal shocks. In the case of eggs, this weakens the shell, and if it has invisible microcracks or even cracks that go unnoticed, it opens a gateway for salmonella entry. Salmonella is a dangerous bacterium that can cause serious food poisoning with fever, vomiting, cramps, and diarrhea. And once again, older people and those with compromised immune systems are the most affected. How to avoid it? Never wash the eggs before storing them. The shell has a natural protective film. Store eggs in the interior location of the refrigerator, away from the door, in a clean container suitable for them. Check for cracks and discard eggs that show visible signs of damage. And, of course, always cook eggs thoroughly before consuming them. According to the U.S. Food Safety and Inspection Service, FDA, eggs with cracks or fissures are very vulnerable to contamination, especially in poorly organized refrigerators. And yes, salmonella can silently invade these eggs, causing symptoms like fevers, vomiting, and intense diarrhea. In elderly people, these reactions can escalate and lead to dehydration and serious infection. There's another detail many people overlook: The carton eggs come in. Few know it can be contaminated with feces or bacteria from the industrial process. Putting this carton straight into the refrigerator without cleaning it or caring about hygiene is a common and dangerous mistake. What to do then? Keep eggs in their original packaging, since it helps protect them and maintain ideal humidity. Place inside the refrigerator, away from the door and temperature variations. Never refrigerate eggs that are cracked, dirty, or have damp shells. And whenever possible, consume eggs well cooked, especially if immunity is low. Surprised? Wait a little more, because the next error may seem like a hygienic habit, but in reality it isn't. It's destroying your gut microbiota without you realizing it. Common mistake: washed and refrigerated fruit. Are you one of those who rush home from the supermarket and wash all your fruit then immediately put it in the refrigerator? Sounds good, right? After all, hygiene is fundamental. But in this case the result may be the opposite of what you expect. When fruits like apples, pears, or grapes are washed and then refrigerated with water droplets still on their skin, a humid environment ideal for mold and bacteria growth is created. The problem is the refrigerator doesn't kill these microorganisms, it just preserves them, and even allows them to spread if they touch other foods. The Journal of Food Protection reported that bacterial growth on wet fruit can increase up to 300% in the first 3 days of refrigeration if they are not completely dry. Now think, a young organism might even handle this, but an older adult with lower immunity could suffer serious consequences like intestinal infections, food poisoning, and silent inflammation. The solution is simple. Wash fruit only before consuming. If you need to wash it first, dry it very well with paper towels. Store it in dry, ventilated containers, away from prepared or cooked food. And never ever leave wet fruit in the refrigerator. Now tell me, do you wash all your fruit as soon as you get home from the supermarket and put it directly in the fridge? Leave a comment. This could help others who, like you, only tried to do the right thing without being aware of the hidden risk. And so we reach the end of this list. Perhaps the main lesson here is this: the refrigerator, as useful as it is not a safe haven for all foods. Some lose flavor, texture, and nutritional value. Others, without proper care, can become a real health hazard, especially for those with weakened immune systems. The truth is that most of these mistakes aren't because of ignorance, but habit, customs passed down from generation to generation without ever being questioned. But now you know. Now you can change. Today you have no excuses for continuing to make the same mistakes. Take a look in your fridge today. Check what's stored in it. Share this content with your family, parents, grandparents, or anyone you live with. Because sometimes a simple change in storage can mean fewer medications, fewer hospital visits, and more health at the table. Did any of the foods on this list surprise you? Have you ever made these mistakes without realizing it? Tell us in the comments. Your story could open other people's eyes. If you liked this video, share it with your loved ones and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss upcoming content about health, wellness, and natural living, because taking care of your health starts in your kitchen. See you in the next video.